Habakkuk chapter 2 and verse 3. For the vision is yet for an appointed time, but at the end it shall speak and not lie. Though it tarry, wait for it, because it will surely come, it will not tarry. First and foremost, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rachakwadash. Double honors to the elder apostles, the elder bishops, the elders of Great Millstone, who rule very well, very beautifully. Double salutations be unto the Akim, out here pushing this gospel and truth and its sincerity to the best of their ability, given to them by Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai. Peace, blessings, and salutations be unto the elect scattered abroad. May the election of Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Lord willing, fall upon your houses. This is the brother Kwana Wath coming back at you, Lord will, with the edifying lesson through the spirit and power of Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Lord will. It is edifying, Lord will. It is straight to the point. Hey, breaking news, breaking news, breaking news. Right, as you see right here on the endtimeheadlines.org, it says China beats Elon Musk to launch world's first commercial brain C-HIP. You know, and this is heavy news, man. You know, when you go and go back to, when Klaus Schwab, was ultimately the head of the WEF, which is the World Economic Forum, right? He basically made a statement before he ultimately retired, if that's what you want to call it, right? Before he stepped down, he made a statement saying that China, right, is going to be, the example that the rest of the world, right, needs to follow. And time again, we've been seeing China, make these different advances when it comes to, their technology and their use of that technology, right? They got the social credit score, right? Which this is widely known, right? Everybody knows that China has a social credit score, right? You can sit there and you can walk across the street, and if you're 1 or 2 seconds, behind crossing that street, well, guess what? Now your face is being plastered, on, different billboards and whatnot. And, you can ultimately, I guess, get points on your record, if that's what you want to call it, right? To where, if you accumulate, right, too many points, then you ultimately, you're prevented, right, from being able to do certain things, right? Your bank account, your anything, right, that you can think of, right? You might be locked out of your home, right? If you have a digital home, right, you might be locked out of your car, right? You're definitely going to be locked out of your bank account. You're going to be locked out of the system, period, right? Which is where, Esau wants everything to move, right? And this all, again, is all according to prophecy, right? Revelation, the 13th chapter, right? Starting at verse, 14 on down, which we're going to get into. But, hey, these are the times that we are in, right? Let's read a little bit, right? It says Chinese authorities have greenlit the world's first commercially viable brain-computer interface implant, marking a significant milestone in neurotechnology, right? They made it commercial, right? This is something that, they can offer, to generally everybody, It says the coin-sized device known as Neo has successfully completed clinical trials and is posed for mass production within China's state-run health system, positioning the country ahead of Elon Musk's Neuralink in bringing such technology to patients, right? And eventually, again, it's not just going to stop at, regular patients. It's going to go to regular people, which America is trying to promote as well, right? You had that so-called black man, right, having that scar on his head. He was able to, looked like might have been AI or, something like that, man. His eyes were able to change color. People were getting excited, but nonetheless, right, the commercials, trying to push that out there, It says, developed through collaboration between researchers in Tsinghua University in Beijing and Shanghai-based neurical technology, the Neo implant is designed primarily to help patients with spinal cord injuries and paralysis by enriching nervous system function, right? Which is, again, going back into those miracles, right? Let's grab that. In Revelation 13 and verse 14, right? It says, and deceiveth them that dwell on the earth by means of those miracles which he had power to do in the sight of the beast, saying to them that dwell on earth that they should make an image to the beast which had the wound by the sword and did live. You know, and those miracles, right? First and foremost, going into these nuclear weapons, right? You had Oppenheimer ultimately make the statement that he has, when he ultimately discovered, I think it was the atom bomb, right? He just said that he'd been, that he is, a destroyer of worlds, right? When they ultimately started firing, those bombs and whatnot, right? It was a miracle, right? But these miracles have translated, right, into, the abilities, right? The pseudo miracles, if you will, that they're capable of doing with this technology, right? Allowing for the blind to see, allowing for, the lame to be able to walk, and so on and so forth, right? Again, these are pseudo miracles because you ultimately need that technology, right? In order for you to be able to continue to do those things, right? Take away that technology and that miracle is taken away from you, So these are not real miracles, but nonetheless, these are those miracles that Esau is capable of doing with that technology, right? So this is what it's talking about. It says, unlike more invasive designs, it sits between the skull and the brain, pressing 8 sensors against the dura mater, the brain's protective outer layer, without penetrating deeper tissues. These sensors connect to a processing hub that translates brain signals into digital commands. Right? It says trials involving 36 patients have reportedly shown promising results, paving the way for broader developments. This advancement comes as Musk Neuralink, which has been testing its N1 or NI implant in a smaller group of patients since 2024, has yet to secure full FDA approval for general use in the United States. Expert notes that the Chinese device's less invasive approach may have accelerated its regulatory path. Right, speeding things up, which is what they want to do. And this is right here, this spiritual too, man, because Yahweh Shemel Shai has been speeding things up. Right? The earth is spinning faster. Prophecy is hitting more and more and more. Right? Operation Warp Speed is at an all-time high. Really call law Yahweh Shemel Shai, man. It says Musk has spoken enthusiastically about the potential of such technologies, restoring control of people who are tetraplegics and restoring sight, I think, are pretty big deals, he said at an event in Israel last month. They're sort of what I might call Jesus level technologies, right? And again, we understand that Esau Edom, right? He continues to speak against Yahweh Shemel Shai, right? Because Esau truly believes that he is, the Most High, right? And that's ultimately what this whole thing is about, right? Esau wants to be able to have full control, over the masses. He wants to ultimately, replace the Most High, with himself and his technology, man. The fucking devil, man. May the Lord ultimately strike you fucking down, man. But nonetheless, let's grab this. And I had it pulled up, right? Ezekiel 28 and verse 2, right? Which is ultimately speaking about, the ancient city of Tyrus, right? Which you can ultimately liken, the same qualities, of ancient Tyrus to America today, right? And Esau Edom, right? Because we understand that the Bible is written in similitudes, man, right? You're not going to see the word America in the Bible, right? But you're going to see different, ancient cities and different rulerships, right? That America mirrors today, right? And you can apply those same precepts to America today, which is what this precept is what we're doing with this precept as well, right? Ezekiel 28 verse 2, it says, Son of man, say unto the prince of Tyrus, thus saith the Lord Yahweh by Hashem Yahushua, because thine heart is lifted up, and thou hast said, I am a God, and sit in the seat of God in the midst of the seas, yet thou art a man and not God, though thou set thine heart as the heart of God. And again, this is Esau's mindset, right? We read that in 2 Thessalonians chapter 2 and verse 4. Right? Esau truly believes himself to be the Most High when, again, as it says right here, he's just a man, right? He's not the Most High. He's just a man, right? Which hence the reason why he has to use this technology, right? But we understand that technology, again, only has, allows for certain limits, right? Once you remove that technology, man, that so-called miracle, that's gone, right? These are not permanent, things, Esau is ultimately just a fraud, right? He needs that technology, right? It says, while the implants hold promise for millions suffering from neurological conditions, including movement disorders, speech impairment, depression, epilepsy, stroke, and Parkinson's, cybersecurity specialists warn of risks. Griffith University expert Dr. David Tuffley cautioned that the technology could theoretically allow hackers to access sensitive neural data such as patients' thoughts and memories. One Neuralink trial participant, Audrey Cruz, shared her experience on X. I tried writing my name for the first time in 20 years. I'm working on it. She added that her participation is helping refine the technology for future widespread use. And again, this is something that they're going to be rolling out, not just in China, right, as mainstream, right? And it's not just going to be the brain C-hip. It's going to be the in the hand rice grain, Again, right, we 2 Corinthians 2:11, we're not ignorant of Satan's devices. We understand, why Esau is pushing this so hard, trying to get it mainstream, trying to get it approved, FDA approved, and so on and so forth. And so that way he can ultimately force the masses, to receive, this C-hip, so that he can do what? He can have control over the masses as if he's the Most High, Let's go back to that Revelations, because it's all about control with this devil, man. Revelation verse 13 and verse 15 is, then he had power to give life unto the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak and cause as many as that would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. And see, this is where we're coming to, right? Where Esau is ultimately going to make it mandatory, and we continue to speak about this, right? Starting with the elder apostles on down, right? We're going to continue to speak about it until it happens, because again, these are the times that we were in, right? The prophecy, of the MO to the TB, the RFID micro C-hip being made mandatory is at the door, right? And again, we're coming into a time where those who ultimately, refuse to take it, right, such as us, right? Esau is ultimately going to try to, either completely separate us, right, from society, or he's going to actually try to kill us, and we understand that some of us are going to have to be, put to death for the name of Yahweh Shemel Shai's sake, being made an example, but understand that is a blessing, right? Verse 16, it says, and he causeth all, right? When you read in the NLT, it means he requires, right? It says, and he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive an MARK in the right hand or in their foreheads. Again, you got the brain C-hip and you got the rice grain, right? It says, and that no man might buy or sell save he that had the MARK in the name of the name of the beast or the number of his name. So again, right, Esau's going to make it to where, unless you have this charagma, you're not going to be able to participate in society. Right? You're ultimately going to be excommunicated, meaning you're not going to, and this is the same play, right, that Esau, made, right, when it came to the C19, right? If you didn't have that jab, right, you weren't able to do certain things, right? You weren't able to participate, in certain things, leaving your ass out high and dry, people were flipping out, tripping, But this is just, again, this is how Esau wants to run it, right? This is all a part of this NWO, right? The New World Order, and it's around the corner, man. It's around the corner. We are at the end. So with that, Lord will is edifying. Lord will is straight to the point. I'm going to give all praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rechak Wadash. Again, double honors to the elder apostles, the elder bishops, the elders of Great Millstone. Till next time, I say shalom.